Hey crew, it's Mike, and today we're talking about the 2023 Nightster S. Yes, I said that right. Nightster S, not the Sportster S. Motorcycle.com brings us news that they acquired through certification documents from Australia that confirm the Nightster is now coming in a S model for 2023. It looks like there was filing information for the Nightster, the Sportster S, and the Pan America Special, and it was updated to include the RH975S, which we can only assume is going to be a Nightster S because the RH975 is the existing Nightster. The sample VIN numbers indicate this is a 2023 model year vehicle and included two photos that closely resemble the existing Nightster, but with a few styling differences. Now the question is, if the only differences are in styling, what makes this an S model? According to the documentation, this new Nightster S has the same engine tune as the existing Nightster, which is about 90 horsepower at 7,500 RPMs. It has the same size wheels and tires. We don't have any details on the suspension or brakes, but they appear to be the same as well. What we can see is different is that a pillion seat and rear foot pegs are included with this model. But surely that's not enough alone to make this sport or special model, whatever the S stands for. There's some debate over that as well, but that's a whole different topic. According to the documentation, it's only 11 pounds heavier than the Nightster, so there can't be a lot of differences going on here. Yesterday, I posted an image of this bike on my channel, so if you follow the channel, you may have seen it, and I asked people, what do you think would have to be different to make this S a special model better and beyond the Nightster that we already have? So if this thing looks basically the same, what features or aspects of the bike can be changed to make it special? The most obvious answer would be the speedometer. If it got the 4-inch TFT off the Sportster S, which has Bluetooth capabilities, the Sportster S has additional riding safety enhancements and other things that the Nightster doesn't have. If they brought those electronic features over that are less visually noticeable, that alone might justify calling it a special model, the S. Let's talk about the engine for a second. According to the documentation, it has the same horsepower specs, so it's unlikely they did anything else to this engine to make it sportier or special. We can expect 90 horsepower and 70 foot-pounds of torque, and I'm sure the 6-speed transmission's probably not going to be changed either. Since the suspension looks the same, we can expect conventional front forks with 4.5 inches of travel and coil spring shocks in the rear providing 3 inches of travel. If you did not realize, the suspension on the Sportster S is about 1 inch of travel less in both the front and rear than the Nightster has already. According to the documentation, the wheel sizes are the same, so we should expect a 17-inch front and a 16-inch rear. The pics provided by motorcycle.com do show a new wheel style, but let's hope that change alone is not enough to warrant the S model designation in Harley-Davidson's eyes. We already have all LED lighting, so this means the most likely changes are going to be electronic. It could mean this model gets the 4-inch TFT display from the Sportster S and more rider safety aid. The Nightster currently has an analog gauge, 3 ride modes, includes traction control, ABS, and drag torque slip control. On the other hand, the Sportster S includes a TFT that allows you to have navigation and audio capabilities via Bluetooth connection to your mobile phone. The Sportster S also has a slew of other rider safety enhancements like TPMS, wheelie lift mitigation, cornering ABS, cornering traction control, cornering drag torque slip control, all thanks to a 6-axis IMU. Now the question is, what is all this fancy electronic stuff going to cost you? Currently, the Sportster S in vivid black is $15,500 US, and the Nightster in black will run you $13,500. Now, I expect a $300 to $500 price increase across the entire lineup for 2023. That's pretty traditional. Based on that, I think a 2023 Nightster S is going to be priced somewhere between $14,500 and $15,000. Since we're talking price, let's talk about the competition really quick. If we look at the Honda Rebel 1100, it starts out just under $10,000 and comes in with 86 horsepower and 72 foot-pounds of torque, which is pretty respectable. Now, Harley is not going to try and compete with Honda on price. I've ridden both of these models, and for me, the ergonomics on the Rebel were an issue for more than a short afternoon cruise. For some riders, the ergos are fine, but I would highly suggest riding one before you make the plunge into the Honda Cruiser segment. I found the ergos on the Nightster to be a much better fit for me, and with a little bit taller bars or some risers, the Nightster would really fit my riding preferences for ergonomics. The other bike everyone will be comparing the Nightster to will be the Indian Scout Rogue, which starts out at $12,750 US. I've ridden an Indian Scout and I enjoyed it more than the Rebel. You'll get 100 horsepower, 72 foot-pounds of torque. Now she is the heaviest of these three and has the worst rear suspension of the three as well, with only 2 inches of travel. So plan to spend a few more dollars for a suspension upgrade, which is available for the Scout Rogue, to get that back end to feel a little better for you, if you choose to go this route. If money was no concern, I would definitely pick the Nightster over the other two. Mainly over the Rebel 1100 because of the ergonomics, and I'm still not in love with the looks of the Rebel. The lines just don't appeal to me. I hear there's some aftermarket forward controls available that really change the ergonomics, and maybe with that investment, I would be just as happy with the Honda. I think the Scout is the best looking bike of the three, but by the time you upgrade the shocks, you're not that far from the price of the Nightster. The existing Nightster has riding modes and rider safety enhancements that the Scout lacks, with ABS being the only option for the Scout. So if those things matter to you, then the Nightster starts to seem like a better option. I get a lot of comments online about how Indian is coming after Harley Davidson, but to be honest, I see Indian having to defend its lineup against bikes like the Honda Rebel and the BMW R18 on the touring side. Harley still has a huge lead in the market share and a substantial base of brand loyal customers. The question is if these new bikes like the Nightster S, the Sportster S, and the Pan America will strengthen that base or if they will erode it. All right, after giving myself 24 hours to think about this bike, what it's likely to be, and where it fits in the market, here's my opinion. It's low-hanging fruit for Harley Davidson. Simply take the speedometer and the IMU off the Sportster S and fit it onto the Nightster. Add some different wheels with TPMS, and now you have a whole nother premium model that you can charge more for. And I do think it makes sense. It doesn't require a lot of innovation, and it's going to allow Harley to meet future regulatory requirements for these cornering safety enhancements like corner traction control and things like that. And in some markets, in some parts of the world, riders care more about that stuff than they seem to here in the US. Now, if Harley Davidson doesn't add these features to this bike, then I don't understand where it fits in the lineup and what would make it a special. I think these are the things that it has to have to make sense for Harley Davidson to come out with. I rode the Sportster S as well, and this year I was really hoping to see a Nightster 1250 come out, but I would be okay with the Nightster 1250S as well. I just am not a big fan of the ergonomics on the Sportster S, the fat tire, and just because it has inverted front forks doesn't mean it rides great. That rear end is very, very stiff. If you didn't know, that thing's only got 2 inches of travel. That again is another problem with the Sportster S, and I think that's holding that model back. In this case, they seem to put form over function. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this Nightster S 975, and do you think Harley Davidson should come out with a 1250 version of the Nightster? Because I just, I really think that would sell better than the Sportster S personally. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. If you're interested in the 2023 Pan America 975, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I am going to be talking about that bike in the next couple of weeks. Now, go ahead and watch this video next because YouTube thinks you're really going to like it. You guys all stay safe and keep on riding.